My name is Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Bindi, and on this channel we practice flexibility of the mind, the body, and the spirit. If you would like to know more about me and exactly what literally pushed me into my spiritual awakening, my spiritual journey, then just continue watching. Before starting my spiritual journey and my walk with enlightenment, I was traditionally Christian in middle school. I went to Catholic school, and I do believe that that set my idea for religion for a very long time, this belief that it is very strict and there are a set list of rules in which you follow, and if you follow those rules then you're good. Don't worry about anything else, just follow the rules. And then after middle school, my mom actually got saved and she got into Christianity, and I did too. And it was a lot more healthy than the Catholic school time of my life. No shade to anybody who's Catholic, just the specific school I went to had really strict rules and really thrived on embarrassing the students as a form of punishment. An example would be, sometimes it was middle school, so the girls wanted to be cute, right? So sometimes the girls would like roll up their plaid skirts just so they could be like half an inch above the knee, you know, like be cute. And teachers would make them like lift their shirt, not all the way up, but like lift their shirt above their belly buttons in front of the whole class just to show that they rolled up their skirt and to be like, that's against God's word, you are being a heathen, all that. So I thought that was religion. I was too young to say whether I felt good or bad about it, but I just thought that's what it was. But then when my mom got saved and we studied Christianity, I found more heart in religion, and I started to identify with it. I can't really say that I was aware. I did not have a lot of awareness. I did not have a lot of consciousness. But something that a lot of people can say about Christianity is that some of the themes of the stories and the lessons do resonate very well with contemporary situations and with modern situations. So it's very easy to study Christianity and learn the lessons you're supposed to learn and connect with source, which obviously in Christianity source is Jesus. There's the Holy Trinity, all of that fun stuff. But the Holy Trinity is actually like the connection of the mind, body, and spirit, depending on how you look at Christianity. But there are a lot of themes that coincide with New Age. The Christian part of my life, it was cool. Like I said, I had no awareness, and that's what was lacking. Again, it was a set of rules in which if you followed, you're Gucci, but you don't have to really look inward too much. And I would say I was hardcore, not hardcore, but like I was relatively Christian for a long time, for a long, long time. I maybe started to move away from Christianity maybe like 4 years ago when I was 22. Yeah, when I got my divorce. So yes, that is my spiritual past. So now we can talk about how my spiritual journey began. Before finding myself spiritually, I suffered with very bad depression. My ex relationship and my past marriage brought on a lot of depression, a lot of depression. And my ex-husband, he would gaslight me, and he would play a lot of mental games, a lot of manipulative games, which would make me question myself and my perspective. And I guess even backing up before that, I started school 2 years early. So I started school when I was 3, started high school when I was 12, started college when I was 16. So I was always 2 years younger than everyone. And in college, it wasn't a problem, but high school, middle school, and elementary school, I was a constant target. And some years were better than others, but I was always the butt of every joke. I was always the last one picked to, play games. And that definitely transferred into my worthiness, how worthy I felt after school. And that's kind of what led me to my first marriage and why I accepted the treatment that I accepted. But I was very depressed, and I was self-harming for a very long time. I was self-harming since high school, and I was just lost in the sauce. Now, I say all this to say that though these were the darkest years of my life, I was the most creative at this time. If you know me personally, you know that I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I can say that proudly now. I sing, I illustrate, I write, you know, I'm pretty good at creative directing, I model. Yeah, the stuff. I do a lot of stuff. And I paint. And during this dark, dark time in my life, I was the most creative, but I think that's because I was the most lost and I had no other way to connect to source aside from my art. So my life just started going uphill immensely when I got my divorce. I was finally old enough to start realizing that my circumstances don't have to determine my future, but the first thing I have to do is get away from this person who is reinforcing all the bad things I feel about myself. So after my divorce, I was able to see life a lot more clear and breathe a lot clearer. I met Adam, my current husband, and we are together, but before my spiritual journey, we were together for 2 years. And this 2 years with this man who loves me unconditionally and taught me how to love myself was a humongous healing process. This 2 years, I completely stayed away from religion, and because I had to just figure out who I was before I started to worship something and give myself to something. I had to know who I was to give myself to something else. Those 2 years were more of a healing process for me. So 2 years went by and I got pregnant and we were very happy about it. And here we go. This is how my spiritual journey started. There are 2 major incidents. One is one major incident, and then the other is more of a combined time of many incidents, okay? I know that sounds weird, but the first major incident was me being pregnant and getting fired when I was pregnant. So when I was 2 months pregnant, my mother was having surgery to remove cancer from her thyroid. And my husband and I, or my fiance then at the time, we just realized we weren't really making as much money as we thought we would be. So I needed to get a job. And I got a job 2 months pregnant. I will not mention the name of this place. It was a hair store. And this place was just run by people who were very about financial gain, were very about the clout, we're very about materialistic things, we're very about outward appearances, you know, not a lot of depth. And throughout my life, whether I was exploring God or exploring who I was or just being as shallow as anything, I've always been a person to seek depth. I've always been a person I don't do small talk. I don't do anything talking about the surface layer of things. I really like to talk about the inner workings of everything. So that was the first thing that kind of threw off the people I worked with. It was a really toxic work environment. There were only 3 employees, me as an associate, and 2 managers who were constantly going behind each other's back trying to get the main position in the store. They were constantly going to the bigger boss saying, I deserve this for this reason, blah, blah, blah. And then when I would work with them one-on-one, it'd be really toxic because they'd just be talking about each other. And then when all 3 of us worked together, I'd just be like, I don't know what to do. So that happened. And I could just tell that I was really a person who aggravated their spirit. And a lot happened at that job. So I got to the point where I was just like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do my work and mind my own business. So I started to just get a lot of books. During this time, my car was repoed. So I was pregnant, and this was in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the bus system is not great. And I had to take the bus to work. And in Charlotte, you could be waiting for the bus anywhere from 25 minutes to an hour. Bus stops can be miles apart, you know, so on and so forth. So I was taking the bus to work, you know, a 10-minute drive was taking an hour and a half. and I could feel my depression starting again, but I was pregnant. And when I was pregnant, I was very careful about what I was putting in my body, how I was feeling, because I just know for a fact that that all affects the baby. And I just wasn't going to do it. I was not going to let my feelings hurt my baby because they're just feelings. That was something that I was beginning to understand at that time. So I started to read a lot. And one of the books that I read, one of the first books I read was The Secret. And that started to shift everything. I remember practicing all these different ways to find gratitude, and I was just starting to become happier and happier in this place where people just seemed to become more and more miserable. It was a hair store, so extensions and weave and people of all types would come into the store. There were a couple of girls who were actresses. Awesome. There were a couple girls who were Instagram famous. Awesome. Like people living their best lives. And then there were people who, you know, would come in with all their children and like be yelling at their children the whole time, like emitting this vibration of anger and, you know, non-awareness. And being a cashier at a place like that, just seeing people come in so angry and so lost, but then spending thousands of dollars on hair and just like knowing that it is an escape mechanism for them. I just got to see a lot of different personalities and how a lot of different people cope with what they're going through in life. So that was very eye-opening for me as well. So I'm reading more and more books and getting more and more inside myself. You could probably tell from my YouTube, I'm great at customer service. I love interacting with people. I am super professional. It's my favorite thing. But eventually I came in, I was 6 months pregnant. I got called into the back room and I was told that I was being let go because of my unprofessionalism and that I did not clean or something. Girl, I can't. But it happened. And when that happened, for a couple of days, I was quiet and numb because nothing made sense. Because I made the choice to mind my own business, go into work, do my job, not bother anyone, just focus on growing a baby. And then I ended up in a horrible financial situation with no help. And at 6 months pregnant, no one's going to hire you. Like there's no other job I can get. So I went from going to work to staying home all the time. Again, not really understanding that it was a blessing in disguise because taking that bus every day was putting so much strain on my body, which maybe could be why they fired me too. Maybe they just felt bad. But yeah, taking that bus every day was putting a lot of strain on my body. And, you know, I was home, I was thinking a lot. I had just started reading different Abraham Hicks books. I think the second book I read was Ask and It Is Given. And then I read the Law of Attraction book. And I started to get really into emotions and really into the why of emotions and what it does. I wasn't at frequency yet, but I was just learning about emotions and things. And that made me want to start making YouTube videos. I don't know if you guys followed me way back when, about 2 years ago, when I was making videos every single day. I was not doing that for the subscribers. I was not doing that. I wasn't doing it for YouTube, which is why I stopped. I wasn't doing it for you guys. It was selfish. I was doing it for me because I wanted to save myself. I wanted to save my brain. I wanted to save my heart because I was hurting and I didn't know what else to do. So every day I looked up a different topic about spirituality, explored it, made a video about it, and it changed my life. It changed my life and it gave me so much light. And the people that I was attracting, the people that I was talking to, there was just nothing. I was shown a whole new world. I had been, for years, for my entire life, I had been shown one world, a world full of sad, angry people who are just going with the motions and hoping that something good will happen. And then I was shown a whole nother world where people are happy and love each other and they don't hope for good things to happen because they know they can make good things happen. And that was the beginning of that. So that was the first situation, which more so is the spiritual learning part of my journey. But when you go through a spiritual journey, it's also something that has to do with your relationship with yourself. And that can be your ego and also your higher self and your body, like your relationship with your vessel, your heart, and your mind. So The second situation, which is a combination of a bunch of mini situations, were friendships. I have 3, now 4. Something just recently happened, but I'm not going to talk about it yet till I know 100% how I emotionally feel about it. But I had several different situations with friends where girls were my best friend. And then like that, out of nowhere with no warning, just flipped the script and vanished. Literally vanished. Not a big fight, not a big blowout, vanished, right? So I'll talk about 2 situations and that'll be it. The first 2 situations are identical. I let these 2 girls live with me at separate times. And this was when I had no money. I lived in a 1-bedroom. And, you know, I wasn't like in a big old house with a lot of wealth to share, but I let these 2 girls live with me at separate times and had great relationships with them. And then they found something better. So they both left my house while I was gone. They both left in the exact same way. They left my house when I was gone, text me, and then I was just like, you do not care about my feelings at all. So this isn't a friendship. And this last situation, I just want you guys to see how it's the same exact situation. Long story short, a friend of mine's brother screwed me over big time, like over $1,000 of screwing someone over. And she vanished. She vanished. She didn't text me for 2 days afterwards. All 3 of these girls just vanished. And this last situation, it was not heavy on my heart at all because I see the lesson in it. But the situations with people before who just vanished, it was so heavy and it hurt me so badly. And what I realized the other night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and just started having this, all these thoughts and like this awakening. It was insane. If it happens again and I can try to pay more attention to it, I'll make a video about it because it was crazy. But what I realized, this voice came booming into my mind, and it was like, when the same thing happens over and over and over again, you are not learning your lesson. It's not to hurt you. It's not to make your life worse. It's to teach you. So I sat down and I thought about all these girls over the years who I've gotten really close to, and then they all disappear, you know, ghost me in the same exact way. Like, what does that mean? And then I realized, like, I had the same situation with all these girls. All these girls had something to get from me when the relationship started. And not only did they have something to get from me, I was forcing them to take it because my worthiness was so low, my self-esteem was so low that I felt like I had to offer a friend something in order to be worthy of the friendship. And when I was thinking and talking to this voice that woke me up, I realized that I don't have to give anybody anything to be worthy of their friendship. Friendship is not about the favors. Friendship is not about climbing career-wise. Friendship isn't about what the person can do for you. Friendship is about the vibe, and friendship is about 2 souls who really enjoy each other and want to be around one another, and that is it, and it is that simple, and I am deserving of it. So I realized that, and also even on a bigger scale, I realized that my abundance is coming because I have way, way, way too much of a bleeding heart. And in order for me to be ready for my abundance, I have to understand that my abundance has value, and I can't just be giving it to people who are nice to me for 3 minutes. So yeah. My spiritual journey is never ending. It'll be going on until the day I die, and I'm so excited for the ride. But that is how my spiritual journey started. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, comment, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, boo, because I love you. And you can love me too. And I can love you for loving me. Yeah. I'll see you next video. Bye, guys.